Hey everyone, it's KIREI here for Arden Creative Studio, and I am bringing you a brand new layout using the Page Starters collection by Katie Pertiet. Now, I've pulled out, it's all sort of yellows and the greens because I'm going for a bit of a spring theme here. So I've got the 6x8 paper pad with the pattern papers, which is the one I've got here, and I've just got this sort of yellow background. It really, actually, the way they're done is to make it really easy for you to create a layout because you've got the sort of almost photo mount set for you. Though I am turning mine sideways because I've got 3 photos, but I love the yellow and I thought I'm definitely going to use it. So yeah. And then I've pulled out 2 of the solids from the other 6x8 paper pad, the yellow and the green, and I'm going to mount my photos with the green. So I've got a bit of a contrast against that soft yellow background. And then I'm going to use pieces of the yellow and the green to sort of layer up behind that main photo mount. So as always, I am stressing the edges. I like to sort of create that sort of texture and get the dimension into my layout. So I've obviously done the same with the background paper as well. And I've sort of torn into it as well, just to give it a bit of interest. And I've pearled the 2 opposite corners of that pattern paper. Now, also, I should say the cardstock I'm using, it's one of the premium cardstocks, and it's in the vanilla colorway, which has a sort of, it's really, really pretty actually. It just really went beautifully with this, give it that sort of more spring theme rather than just going for plain white. So pulled a few pattern strips, and I shouldn't say pattern strips, I should say solid strips of the yellow and the green, and I'm just going to sort of start to layer them up behind my background. I've also pulled out the green doily pattern paper, and I've fussy cut that doily out. I'm going to use that, as you can see here, just lay it up behind my photos for a bit of extra interest. So I'm just playing around, making sure I'm sort of happy where everything's going to go with the fake paper strips that I've got here. And I'm going to stick the top part and the bottom part together right now. So I do fiddle around with this, to be fair. I'm not sticking it straight onto the ground as yet because I am going to add some stamping detail, which I think I'll do in just a moment. But I'll just get these pieces together. I also added in a bit of patterned green, and that was from one of the paper pads, the backgrounds, and I just pulled one of the sort of border edges that I thought added a little bit more interest and pattern. Okay, so here we are, all ready to go, and I have brought in the Wispy Stems clear stamp set, and I'm just using Distress Oxide in, this one is Scattered Straw, and I'm also going to use the Evergreen Bow as well across the layout. But at the moment, I'm just stamping in the yellow right now. I'm just double stamping here, so I've got the sort of heavier stamping and then the softer. And then I'm only going to do that in those 2 corners there. I could have probably added a little bit at the bottom, but at the time I thought, no, I don't need it. That's sort of fine. Okay, and then I brought in the Postage Essentials craft dies, and I've just die cut 2 of the stamps in the 2 different sizes. So and I've done it in the yellow and the green, and then just in the very soft yellow in the solids paper as well. And then I'm just bringing in some of the stamps from the Postmarks Adventures and the Botanical Clusters. And there you go, all done as if by magic. And then I've got the 4 stamps, and I've also got that other piece there, which is like a journaling piece. I'm just going to use it as a little layer, the one that says the details on it. Right, so now I can get all of the background stuck down. So I'm just getting these pieces stuck together, and then I'll stick it down in one lot. Just checking where it's going to sit. And then I can get that done. And once I've got that done, I can get to my favourite bit, which is adding all the lovely embellishments and bits and pieces and creating those, decorative clusters on the layout. So bringing in my trusty T-square to make sure that is straight. And then I can get my photos stuck down as always, or generally mostly. I'm sticking the photos down using foam strips at the top edge only, and then I'll leave them flat at the bottom. Tucking in that green doily behind them as I go. And then And then I can start to add the other details here. What I've loved about the stamping elements is I'm creating extra embellishments by stamping pieces, which is really, really great when, maybe you don't have quite enough of the ephemera that you want, or you're running out of a little bit of the ephemera. Stamping elements, brilliant for that, because and these little postage stamps, I love them. I had lots of fun just playing around with the sort of different images I was going to stamp on each one. And then I just added the postmark details, which was really cute too. So playing around with where things are going to sit, it's obviously I keep sort of switching around. I was going to have the postage stamp sort of, not so straight, but I changed my mind. I went for that sort of more straight look. I could have gone either way, to be completely honest. Okay, so I've got things where I want them to be, and I can get everything, I think, stuck down now. I brought in the rub-on, so I've got this lovely floral cluster here. I'm just trimming it off because I'm going to use a piece over here on the right, and then I'm going to tuck in another piece over onto the left. So I'm just making sure I'm happy where that sits so I can see. I don't want to cover it up completely once I get those stamps down. So yeah, so just get that down, and then I can get the stamps stuck down over it on that right side there. So just making sure I've got all the bits. Not missed any. There we go. And then I can get the two stamps. So first stamp I'm going to stick down with glue, just sort of really in the center. I've curved up the edges. And then the second one I will add some foam strips too, and then I raise it up over the other. So it allows me to continue to get that dimension. Then what's next? Okay, so I can finally get that done. I think I'm checking what I'm doing. I've got another phone. It's an old phone, and I take photos of when I've placed everything, all my ephemera, and I'm happy with it. I'll take a photo, and then, because obviously I then have to move everything and then get it all stuck back down. So yeah, I think I'm referring to that over there on the left. Okay, I'll get the other two stamps down. So I'm doing the same again with the first one stuck more flat, and then the second one I'm just raising up with the foam strips. I've got the other rub on, just figuring out where that's going to go. Can't quite decide right now. And then I am bringing in these teeny tiny words which work perfectly on these little tabs here. And I've got 3 of them that I'm going to add on to each of my photos. So it says right now, happy, and snapshot. So I'm just tucking those down onto each photo now. And well, yep, still figuring out. Yes, I think I'm happy now. I'm going to get that one done over there on the left. So it does. I do end up covering up a bit more. Maybe I should have brought it down a bit further. But no, it was fine. I was also trying to mirror almost going across the layout. But anyway, it's okay. It is just peeping out, which is fine. Just gives me a little bit of extra detail and almost creates like another layer. You've got your cardstock, you've got the rub on, and then you've got your your ephemera pieces. Okay, and then I'm just tucking in. I've got some these journaling pieces, and I'm just using those as a layer, just adding a bit more detail, the little banner piece at the bottom, and then, of course, a butterfly. Who doesn't love some butterflies on a layout? I'm quite happy to add butterflies onto lots of layouts. I just love them, and I think, they work for me. It's completely fine. Okay, another little rub on there because I'm just wanting to bring in a bit more of the yellow down the bottom. I've obviously got the 2 larger yellow butterflies on the top left and to the right. And then I'm going to do my title. So I've got one of the ephemera words that says hello that I've raised on foam pads. And then I'm bringing in the stamp set. This one is actually from the Field Notes collection. It's the Sketchy Alpha clear stamp set. And I decided to be brave and stamp straight down onto my layout again. And I'm using the Distress Oxide in Evergreen Flow. And this is where I wasn't so happy. I wasn't happy with my P. And I did keep going, and I layer it, and I go back over it actually with the Distress Oxide in Scattered Straw. And to be fair, that is where I sort of ended up finishing. Once I'd taken my photos of the layout, to be honest, it wasn't doing it for me. So I basically went back, restamped all the letters the same again, layered the yellow and the green, and then I cut them out individually and added them on with foam strips to get some dimension, and I was much happy with that. So you'll see that in the close-up photos. And just adding some ink splatters around my clusters, again with the same 2 Distress Oxides. And here we go. There is the final layout. So you can see how I changed my letters for the spring in the title. You'll see some close-ups in just a moment. But there you go. I hope you've enjoyed watching the process video and feel inspired to create a beautiful spring layout. And I see you again in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.